So in this training, I'm going to show you the tools to do that. If done correctly, you can thrive in short-term rentals in any economy. All right. Okay. I am back to thrive with you guys. I'm back to Wuza, and I'm excited to share with you how to thrive in short-term rentals during a recession. This is George Salas, your SDR strategist. Welcome to another episode of the Six-Figure Short-Term Rental Show. This is what we do right here in this group. This is what we do in Elevate. We help create six-figure short-term rentals for all of you. How many of you, if you're watching right now, I see some people live, I see some people on Zoom. How many of you want to find out what truly works when it comes to creating six-figure short-term rentals during a recession? I want to see some comments on this channel. I want to see my boys here on inside our Zoom. We've got exclusive access for Elevate clients inside Zoom right now. So please drop me some love. Ladies and gents, I want to see them before I get started. Okay, Phil, Jeffrey, throw some love in there. Cool. So let's get to the nitty gritty. We've made a lot of mistakes, guys, in the last 3.5 to 4 years. And we made over $2.5 million in bookings over the last 3 years. So in that amount of revenue, there are a lot of mistakes, and we've made them for you. Last month alone, we broke 120,000 in bookings between our entities, and several properties doing over 10K, with a few properties, two of them doing over $20,000. One single property doing over $20,000. That is quite a bit of income. 123,000, 122,000, just to be exact. Our goal for this group is to empower real estate investors to build a scalable business with six-figure short-term rentals in any market, guys, with or without buying the property. And then the way that most people have taught you, and the way that most people do short-term rentals, including the gurus, is wrong. You've been lied to. You've been told, go out there, get a property, launch the property, make some money, or go out there and get a nice property. It is not that way anymore. It is a new age for vacation rental owners, a new age for short-term rentals, and it's coming right now. The change is happening right now as we see this entire world turn into a different world over the next few months, the next year. So I want to address two major concerns that are happening right now in the SDR industry. Number one is the recession. That is the biggest concern. So everybody I talk to in our group, in our coaching program, we have dozens of students that are in, they're like, okay, I don't know if I really want to move forward sometimes because I don't know what's going to happen, right? But as we see, the concern just diminishes as people understand what's really happening and how the SDR, how the vacation rental industry actually pivots through any recessions. And it actually, from the last recession, mini recession that we went through in 2020, we actually have seen an increase, not a down. Maybe the down was for about a few months, but the industry itself for that year, it grew. The second concern is the increased supply, which is lowering occupancy in some cities. And today we're going to cover the recession, right? What's a recession and how is it really coming about? What are really people talking about? Now, I'm not an economist, and I just want to let you guys know. So if you're watching this, obviously I don't know what can really happen. I don't know what exactly is going to happen. I can't read what's going to happen. I can't read the future. But what I can tell you is I'm going to give you tools and strategies that you can take before, during, and after, if it does happen, and I'm doing a whole study. Like, I actually did lots of work to make sure that I brought you something amazing and super valuable today, guys. I've read sources, I've watched podcasts, and I'm really trying to gather everything happening in the industry right now so that I can bring this to you guys. Let's get started. What is a recession? A recession simply means 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. Essentially, if the economy and the market and the GDP growth is going down for 2 consecutive, it could be 0.1 or 0.5, right? Then that's what economists, gurus in the nation tells us, hey, we're in a recession. Now, I believe, not exact numbers, but first quarter we were down by like 1.2 or 1.4, and then the second quarter went down. So now if it did, that doesn't put us in a recession. We're gonna have to wait for it to be declared, right, by the government. So now let's talk about some of the things that happened in past recessions, guys. And I've been like, wow, like the biggest things happen during recessions, right? The opportunities there amongst us right here, right now. Okay, so let's talk about, for example, two of the biggest companies, which are Microsoft and Apple, were created during recessions. Microsoft was actually born during the recession of early 1970s, and Apple was also created during the 1970s and reinvented itself during the 2000s .com. So I was still a very young kid at that age, so I didn't get to live it, but I have done some research on it. And I remember being at school that day when September 11th happened and everything was alarming. Also, Airbnb was a child of the Great Recession of 2008. Netflix was launched during the .com bubble as well. Now, what's the consistent lesson in all of these companies? They serve changing demand in a new way. They innovated, they changed something. In other words, they found a way to reinvent themselves and reinvent what they do, what they already do, and do it better or do it differently. So that's the lesson. So now when the economy slows down, business also slows down. But what we've seen in the short-term rental vacation rental industry is that there are no signs of slowing down. We're actually growing. Businesses are doing well enough, then they can't sustain. So my main goal today is to show you some tactics that you can implement in your business immediately so that you can sustain through a possible economic downturn, which can possibly affect the short-term rental industry. So now let's break down the 5 stages of a recession. I got this from a book that I read. It's called The Recession Response with Mike McCallowicz. And then he breaks down a recession into 5 stages. So stage 1 is the shock stage, where entrepreneurs freeze up, they don't know what to do. They're in la-la land for a little bit. And this happened, COVID hit, right? I personally was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And it takes about 1 to maybe 3-4 weeks. And then I started figuring out what was going on. So stage 2 is the desperation stage. And the desperation stage is where people are like, oh my God, this is happening. They're overreacting. You guys remember during COVID, actually, people were going out there crazy to find toilet paper, right? They were looking for toilet paper out there, and they were trying to find toilet paper everywhere. And then once you found it, they're like, I need more. And then at first was, hey, he's doing it. And then it became a norm. You would just go to the grocery store and then just try to find toilet paper everywhere it was. That's the overreaction stage. Stage 3 is the evaluation stage. What moves are the right moves? Like, where am I at right now? You evaluate the next thing you need to do next. What is it that I need to do next? You're trying to see where you are in your business, and you're trying to see what's your cash reserves, where you should do what moves. You're trying to do a little research and listen to what everybody else is doing. Stage number 4 is take deliver action. Take massive action. And that's maintaining core competencies, but repackaging what you already deliver in a different way. For example, what we did during the stage 4 of take deliver action, I would say that was maybe a month into 5 weeks whenever we were in the recession of 2020 during COVID. I sat down and I was like, okay, I've got 0 bookings for the next 2 weeks, like for my 40 plus properties at that time. And I have majority of them were apartments. So a lot of them were within a 2-mile radius in downtown Houston, since the entire city was shut down and the whole country was shut down. I was like, what am I going to do? So started taking deliver action. I started switching, adding some pricing strategies, really finding out what's working, paying really close attention, offering different types of different areas of distribution. Like I was adding different distribution channels. I was trying to figure out like how to market and how to word. So I would make majority of the changes. The immediate changes came essentially with my listing. I was trying a lot of different things. And then once I figured out that what was working, I made the changes that kept doing what was working. I was taking delivered action. And that was my short-term deliver action. My long-term deliver action was actually taking what was working and then studying what wasn't working. And what I realized is that at the level I wanted to scale, or at the level I wanted to grow, which was scale it bigger, very profitably, I wasn't going to be able to get there because my margins were too thin. And then how are the margins thin? Because I was only working with 2x properties at the time, max 2x, right? So if an apartment cost me $900, I was doing anywhere between $1,600 and $2,200, so maybe 2.5x for the apartments. But during the recession, and right after that, these places had never went back to what they were before, right? Because the metro markets didn't recover yet. So I ended up letting all the apartments go and swapping everything into 25. So instead of 50 something units or listings, now we're right at 25 robust houses and growing every day. We are adding another property to our portfolio right now that we just purchased last week. And we purchased this with a trust. I purchased it from a wholesaler. And I'm grateful for my lender, the owner of the title company who really worked with us. And then obviously the wholesaler, the transaction was a little tough, but we ended up winning it. We're adding another property close to the downtown area. And this one, we're doing our first designer property. That tells you something for a designer property, right? So we are taking massive action and preparing right now for what might or might not happen in the future. Stage number 5 is thriving in the surge. So for example, in 2021, was whenever the thriving in the surge happened for our STR industry. 2021 was the best year I have ever seen, and probably we will ever see in the vacation rental industry. Price and numbers, growth was up in astronomical levels. ADRs, average daily rates, were up in astronomical levels as well. So in July, we almost hit 200,000 in revenue. And then I was like, wow, we're great. And all of a sudden, August went down, and then October went back to normal. So I was really praying that stayed that way, but it didn't. Decreasing supply was the main key point of that surge. We were all in a surge in 2021 because the supply decreased by 30, 40, 50% in some cities because people were just, I'm getting out. So in times of crisis, like a recession or like something that might happen in the future, there are also big opportunities because most people are gonna get out. Most people out there don't know what they're doing, and you do because you're in this group. Our clients do because we work with our clients every single week. We create clarity in what they do, and essentially what I'm gonna tell you guys in just a minute is gonna blow you away. But let me finish with stage 5. So in this thriving surge is what happened. The supply decreased, our numbers were up, bookings were up, ADRs were up, and it was all gravy. We went out of that, and now we're about to jump into something very similar. So now my experience personally from back then to now is be more prepared. I was not prepared. I was not prepared financially. I was not prepared. My team wasn't prepared. My pricing strategies weren't prepared. I wasn't prepared at all. So that's why we're preparing today, right now, because in an ever-changing world like the industry of vacation rentals, which is growing exponentially every year by 5 to 10%, we're going to be at $16-17 billion industry very soon. Right now, we're about 15.5, right? So now entrepreneurs who evaluate the changing needs of any market and then they do something about it are the ones who plant the seeds to flourish. You are the one that is going to plant and grow your own future by making those changes, really assessing where you are and applying by taking immediate action. So in this training, I'm going to show you the tools to do that. If done correctly, you can thrive in short-term rentals in any economy. And now statistics say that every time there was a recession, the vacation rental industry got a hit short, but it grew the same year. So there are no signs that the industry itself is going down, but there is one major sign that most people are going to suffer from, which is your increased supply, which is supply right now is bypassing the demand growth. Let's talk about the 3 areas that you need to implement in any business and in your short-term rental business in order to have a successful economic slowdown. Part 1, preparation. This is where you make a decision to step up your game by being ready, by preparing, by assessing. Most people out there that are hosting an Airbnb, they just do it as a side hustle. Now, you can do it as a side hustle, but be a professional. This is the new age of professional hosts. So tip and step number one is becoming a professional host. That's how you step up your game. Step number two, understand where the market is and how it pivots. How is it going to change? Bookings are, occupancy rates are, right? For the good or for the worse. So you need to understand how your market is going up or down to be able to really make a decision, but you've got to know how to read those signs. Step number three is evaluate where you are right now, right? Is your current listing or your business getting worse or better? Is your year-over-year occupancy or revenue up or down, right? Am I having more trouble getting bookings or am I not? Am I having different types of guests? Have you pivoted? Sometimes when an industry pivots, we also pivot, and in desperation, we start grabbing anyone we can to get our properties booked. And I've done it before, especially during COVID. So go look at your Airbnb and your business and see what is happening in the insights, right? There, that you can check in your Airbnb. So those insights give you the ability to really understand the metrics that are happening in your business, right? And now the exterior, the financial insights are your revenue year over year. In Elevate Coaching Program, we actually keep budget sheet where actuals every single month. So our clients, we provide them with the ability to comparing yearly revenues from last year, this year, and even next year, as they're keeping a tab that tells you the percentage change, whether it's up or down. So that's part one, preparation. Part two is innovation, and part three is adaptation. So let's talk about part two. What is innovation, right? This is where you change or repackage what you already have and you deliver it in a different way. What does that mean, George? So I've broken it down into 4 actual steps for you. So step number 1 is you 10x your property. That's the first thing you need to do. Whether it's the furnishings, you create a theme, you do something different, you're gonna 10x the way that you're marketing, especially if you've assessed and you've found out that you're seeing revenues are down, the occupancy is down, I'm having trouble. The market is changing, ladies and gentlemen, and this is a very innovative industry. It changes every day. So new. It's literally 10, 15 years before 2000, before Airbnb itself in 2008, people really didn't do this. They didn't think of this as a business. They didn't think that real estate investors didn't say, oh, I'm going to go do vacation rentals. It wasn't an option. It was its own little niche. Now it's become a bigger niche, a bigger monster, and it's going to continue to become a bigger monster. And as it does, you've got to innovate with it. So 10x of your properties, the furnishings, the theme, what's inside, and you've got to really figure out how to create something different inside that property so you can 10x the property. Step number 2 is after you've done that, you 10x your listing. You 10x your listing because now you have an asset and your listing is your tool. Whether you put it on whatever platform or even do a direct booking, you're going to 10x your listing because your listing is your marketing. You're going to optimize your pricing strategy. You're going to optimize the actual photos. You're going to optimize your description, your title. You're going to 10x. You're going to create something that fits into today's market. So when you 10x your listing, you are creating a powerful marketing tool. Step number 3 is you 10x your pricing and booking strategy. And there you're going to have to learn the market. You're going to have to learn how to read and how to create rule sets, how to create pricing, how to create midterm stays, longer stays, how to create shorter stays, and how to really attract the right people to book those shorter or longer stays. And that consequently puts us onto the next strategy, which is creating medium or longer stays, right? So whenever we're going through a period of crisis, you want a little bit more stability by creating medium or longer stays. You're getting people filled up in there because you don't know if your property's going to get booked. The lead time, which is essentially how far people book, might get shorter. So you really want to create something different. Then the next step is diversifying your distribution channels. So if you're just on Airbnb, you've got to go and check out VRBO, booking.com, or get your own platform, your own website to market your listings, post it on social media, right? And it all comes with First, you 10x your property. Second, you're going to 10x your marketing tool, which is your listing. And then after your listing, you're going to 10x your pricing and booking strategy. So you can take the assets you build, which is your listing and the property. It's an asset. That's an asset on its own. And you're going to 10x your pricing and booking strategy. We teach exactly how to 10x your pricing and booking strategy. And this thing works, guys. This thing works. We teach exactly how to do that in the Elevate Coaching Program. Step number 4 is expand your reach. You want to be farther out there. You created more distribution channels. Now you've got to expand your reach, and you got to put a little bit more effort into that. And step number 4 is 10x your experience. Whatever you're delivering now, you've got to 10x that. If you're creating a property and talking to your guests and automating most of your business, put a little more personal touch. Maybe put something different, offer something else, put more amenities, offer those amenities, create a marketplace where you can offer additional services. You're 10xing your experience for the guest. So that is part 2, which is innovation, right? So let's talk about part 3. This is adaptation. Part 3 is where you adapt. You've literally assessed where you are. You've taken deliberate action. And then this is essentially where you're going to look back and see what's working, number 1. Then you're going to streamline what's working, which is your operations, and cut down expenses, which is number 2. And then you're going to double down, acquire more, do more of what is working right now. And step number 4 is take massive action within that step. Because at this point, and it's happened to all of us. Sometimes when something is working, you're like, oh my God, this is really cool. I'm going to keep doing it. And we get complacent. But that's not the case. If you're going to an ever-changing world, and especially in the vacation rental industry, and then something is working, do more of it. That's what we're doing today. We're doing more of what's working. We're getting rid of what is not. And that is taking deliberate action. That's where you adapt. See what's working. You streamline operations, stream it all out. You cut down expenses. That's part of streamlining operations. And you double down and acquire more of what's working. Those 3 areas are what you truly need to understand when it comes to really adapting to what's going to happen or what might happen. We don't know what's going to happen. And so far, I have actually done quite a bit of research, and then, man, there are great signs that I don't think anything is going to happen to the industry. Now, if the listings and the supply continues to increase, then boom, we're just making that change right now. So I'm extremely just excited about what's to happen in the future and what's happening right now. Those are my 3 areas where I focus, we're putting our focus right now. I can share with you guys that, that's where the focus should be. So number 1 is preparing. You've got to prepare yourself for what's about to happen or what might happen. Innovate, change, immediate, take massive action by making those changes. And then number 3 is adapt. This is where you make the changes by taking deliberate action on what's working already.